Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Bonjour! We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I'm your host today, Jackie, and we have...
Lumiere!
And...
Jeepers!
And today we have a special guest. It's... Tess.
She's Jeepers' wife.
And today we're going to be talking about Disneyland Paris. And you guys both went on a trip to Paris recently and stopped by the Disney parks. And we want to hear all of your comments and your experience at an international park.
Yeah. It was, we've been to Paris before, but it was a short trip. And I knew if we got delayed one day, I was like, I'm going to Disneyland Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was just going to go. I don't know whether you were going to come with me or not, but I was like, I'm just going to take the train there. And that's how easy it is. There's one train that goes all the way there and stops. There's a little Mickey symbol on the screen that tells you how to get there.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, oh, that one's got a Mickey symbol. I'm going to get on that train, and it takes you there.
It's the easiest, I would say, park to get to.
From an airport.
From an airport.
I could say that. Yeah. We didn't come from the airport. We had a little traveling to do, but we were a little experienced jumping on and off the trains.
Right, and the signs had Mickey on the side, like if you want to go to like follow this.
So Disney must have paid a lot of money to Paris, where they're like, all right, we want to put our symbol everywhere to get you there, to where you don't screw it up. So we got on the train. It was during like morning travel rush hour, so there were people going out. So it was a little crowded, but not too crowded. Enough people got off to where we were able to get chairs, and it was pleasant. And then going into this, I had no expectation. I didn't even look at the map. I had all I knew was like the castle looks different. That's all I knew.
And like you had told you were telling us before, and he's like, I want to go into this park blind, and so I was like holding myself back. I was like, okay, then I won't ask you or tell you anything. It was so hard for me not to be like, book this reservation. You want to eat here or you want to go here, and I was like, no, they want to discover the park on their own. I'll let them do that.
And how was it going into the park and not, like, being in a park that you were unfamiliar with? Because it's been a while since you've felt that, probably since a child.
When I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And you're like, where are we going next, Dad? I don't know, how was it for you going to a new park that was completely...
It was like, I mean, not to be cliche, it was kind of like magical and cool. And it had been a long time since we'd gone together, and, as a kid, so.
It was so weird to not know. You're like, it is that dream state, kind of like, I know it, but I don't know. And I've seen pictures, and also they don't give you a map there. I went looking for it and I had no clue. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to wing it. And I had my phone map, and you'd be like, oh, let's go here, or let's in this vicinity. So it was different.
Which is interesting they didn't have maps, because when I went, what was it, like 3 years ago? They had plenty of maps. They had maps in all different languages.
Oh, COVID killed paper.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's I enjoyed it. It was kind of fun, but then it kind of, you get that, I noticed there's a sense of anxiety of like, oh, I want to see everything, right? Because I know I'm probably not going to come here anytime soon, if ever again. So, which is a weird feeling, like, for our family, who had been to or worked in parks multiple times, where like, I'll come back another time, or I'll do this. This one's like, I'm trying to share a park, because we brought our 2-year-old daughter with us for the first time going to a park. So you want to share magical things and things you haven't done before. If our daughter wasn't there, I probably would have avoided some of the Fantasyland attractions that weren't new. But you knew since it was the first time,
You had to do it.
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this will be a fun one for you.
You know, you had to do like Pinocchio. And...
We didn't do Pinocchio. She
Yeah.
fell asleep in the queue, and I'm like, well, I'm not taking a sleeping kid on a ride that I don't know if it's new or not new. So I was all like, all right, let's, we maneuvered and went to Thunder Mountain at that point.
Okay, so let's start with what was your first... There's 2 parks at Disneyland Paris. There's the...
Or half a park.
Yeah. There's the...
Quarter of a park? Well, you were there. It was probably quarter of a park.
It was like a land, really.
Yeah. There's the Walt Disney Studio Park, and then there's... I think it's just Disneyland Paris is the second one. So which park did you go to first?
Studios.
Yeah.
And you walk in, and it's a big, giant studio, corridor.
A weird entrance.
It's definitely one of the most unique entrances to any theme park ever. And I compare that to like an Animal Kingdom, where you walk into Animal Kingdom and it's all like
trees.
a wall of trees, and you have to go around the trees to get to the center. Whereas this one's like you got to walk through a building to get to the rest of the park. It's like, okay.
And the building itself is not that great. It's just like a food court.
It is a food court.
It's an absolute...
It's kind of fun where it's like it's dark and we had a really cool experience. Like we first got there, we were taking pictures. Our daughter, this is towards the end of our trip, and so a 2-year-old's excitement for medieval cathedrals and fine arts of Paris. Her excitement was not the highest, but boy, when she saw Mickey Mouse or a statue, she was like, Mickey Mouse! And she was just pointing, and I'd never seen her so happy on the trip besides eating Burger King burgers. And you had read about families talking about going to Disney. What did they say that it's like the highlight of the trip?
Yeah, they always said like it didn't matter, like, oh yeah, we're to Paris, and then when they did Disneyland, even the parents were like, this is the best part of the trip. And I like Paris, but I feel like that was a huge...
It was a highlight with the experience with our daughter.
Yeah.
So, we walked through and we went to the room inside the studio, and to greet us, we were there right when it opened up, and Mickey was there.
True family style, rope drop, right there.
We didn't even plan it that way. I was all like, we were
kind
of like, all right, let's go. All right, all right, we'll do this one.
Yeah.
So we were lucky where we didn't have any like backups or any lines like that. There really was no line to get in. Walked in, and who greeted us? Mickey Mouse, and my daughter lit up like a Christmas tree. She was all like, it's Mickey Mouse. Like, he's right there, and he's moving, and
he's real.
Waving, and he points, and my daughter's like, oh, she believes it's him. And that was like, oh my gosh, I had an experience, a magical moment with my daughter right off the bat, and it was like, this is hard, like, felt, and pulled the strings. At first I'm like, all right, get it together. We're not even in a park yet.
And this is the one thing I want to tell all the people who say, well, I don't want to go, my kids won't remember it.
It's true, yeah.
But
I'm one of those.
But you will remember that moment when she looked at Mickey Mouse and wanted Mickey's attention.
Oh boy. Yeah, we had to go back looking for maps, and she was looking for Mickey, and she cried. Because she's like, Mom! And I'm like, Mickey had to go to work. Because that's what we tell them. Like, Mom is at work. Like, Mom's at work. Actually, Mom's hiding from you. But I'm just telling you she's at work. And you understand that concept. So, yeah, we went through, and then the first ride we went to was Magic Carpets of Aladdin.
Of course.
Yeah.
It had to be your first ride.
And I was like, oh, it's familiar.
It's the same exact thing.
And I love the statement that you had when we looked at it. It's like, is this the same one from Disney World? And I was all like, yep, exactly. It's like, are you sure? I'm like, pretty sure. It's like that scene with Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant. It's like, are you sure? Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I know it.
And for our listeners, J5 used to work at
used to be a Magic Carpet salesman. That's what they called us. And I spent many hours. I love telling people to like, oh, we have a one-way trip to Agrabah. One round trip to Agrabah, starting from Agrabah, going to Agrabah. It's a Dumbo ride, and that's our first ride we went on. The line was short. What was different was the guy who was giving instructions did it in 4 different languages. French, English, Spanish, and
German?
Italian.
Oh, Italian.
Yeah.
Italian was the other
I
one.
would have figured it would have been German.
I know.
No, you know what? There were only a few Germans that I bumped into on the trip.
Okay.
And like, they would ask for instructions, but they were like, German, and they're like, no, and they're like, English, and they're like, yeah, and I would try to have to like, they'd say it, and I'd be like, oh, they're trying to say this, because like the French English translation's kind of broken, and I was like, they really mean this, and we're gonna do this. Oh, okay, thank you so much.
So going to Disneyland Paris, it was very easy to speak English. Did you?
I never had any
didn't
problem.
know.
You just do the formal
Yeah.
greeting, like bonjour, and then like, and the good thing about, or one thing you should do is learn how to say, I don't speak English, or say like, sorry, I don't speak English, or I don't speak French, excuse me. Okay.
You're from America, you don't know how to speak English. All right.
Yeah, so that's one thing, just a courtesy like that. Most of the time people are like, oh no, it's okay, I speak English. They can usually tell that you're an American, but you at least attempted to say something. And, that it's not hard to learn a couple phrases here and there. And one thing I would suggest, if you're going to learn something, learn some numbers. Because nothing's scarier than going to a McDonald's and they do the number system. And they don't put it on the screen which order. They yell it out. And so you're just going like, okay, I don't know what 60 is, but I know 3. And I'm going to sit here. My first time going, I didn't get a receipt, but I knew the number. And I was like, it's like midnight, and I'm like in a very like active nightlife. Let's just say that kind of place. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and just hoping I can get food for my family, that's starving. And so learn numbers. It'll help you try to maneuver food and orders and stuff, but not so much at Disneyland. Yeah, English will get you by, and you should be okay. So don't be intimidated. Most of the cast members will understand what you're saying. Everybody will pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, they cater to English speaking anyway. Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
So what were some of your favorite attractions in Walt Disney Studio Parks?
We did Tower of Terror.
That was fun.
It was fun.
I liked the sequence. It was a lot like the California Adventure.
That was a good one,
yeah.
It's the same ride system.
It
as
is,
that one,
yeah.
It was. I did have an issue with it.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the line was long, and you have the option to buy a ticket. Buy a fast pass. You buy the fast pass. We still waited about 30 minutes to get on, and it still is painful going fast pass from there when you're sitting there in the boiler room going like, "Oh, I hate this place.
Yes.
It's the worst place to be."
The boiler room is
The boiler room in that rides the California and this one's version is the worst.
It's the worst. And so we're sitting here, and I'm like, "Oh, it's kind of nostalgic a little bit," but we paid $12 or $13 each for this fast pass, and it's the first time I've ever bought a fast pass. And it's weird because you ride the ride and you go, that was fun, but you walk away going, I feel unfulfilled, or I don't know. You have this buyer's opinion, and it's not buyer's remorse, but it's one of those like, was it worth $24 for us to ride a ride that we already paid for a ticket? And I'm going, I don't like this feeling, because this is the first time I've had to do it.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Disney World Paris has a unique fast pass system compared to the States.
Yes, they've always had a different fast pass system.
So theirs is more of like an a la carte. So it's not like you get, you buy the ability to use fast pass. It's like literally every attraction has a cost to it if you want to buy that attraction's fast pass.
So yeah, that was the first time dealing with that, and we talked about like what's going on, and whether like, well, we could buy this ticket and ride this, and I'm just like, it adds up, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. It's such a different experience growing up, and I'm like, I don't know if I like it.
Those free fast passes.
Yeah, I remember going back behind the machine and pushing the button
to see if they left it unlocked.
Sucker.
Yep.
Or before they even had it unlocked, they didn't have a system when we first learned about that at Splash Mountain.
Oh yeah,
Dad was plugging it in. I was like, "Look, Dad, I can pop them out real quick." So yeah, that was the big ride. We did Ratatouille.
Yes.
And tell us about your experience. Mine was different.
Yours, so I went with my sister, like we did the single rider, that was just so easy in and out, because
I would recommend that at this park or both parks.
Single rider is always
nice.
the best way to get through a line.
Absolutely. So when I went, I didn't, I think people hyped it up, and I'm like, okay, I'm really excited for this, and they give you
different, it's new.
it's different, I put the 2D or 3D glasses on, and I'm going through and I'm like, okay, it's not...
So you get in a vehicle.
Yeah, you get in a vehicle, and then they take you on this journey through,
You go room to room, and then they put a screen in front of you, and you watch it.
Yes. And so, I mean, it was fun. It was okay. I think it's cute for the kids, and there's, this...
They interact with you.
There's a scene where you get, water squirt at you, and you're like, ah! But, for the most part, it was okay.
We're kind of glad that we... did a child swap thing where I watched the kid first because our daughter hates glasses. She was just playing, and I'm just we're kind of glad that we didn't do that. Unfortunately, when I went and did it, I got halfway through the ride and it broke down. So I got to a scene and I just they stopped it, and then I was like, nope. And after a little bit, when they're going to evacuate you, and so I got evacuated. And they're like, come back, here's a fast pass. And I'm just like, oh, when everybody else is going to come back with this. And I knew I wasn't going to be in this park very long. And I was a little disappointed.
And knowing that it's at Disney World, so you're most likely going to make a Disney World trip before you make a Paris trip. So you'll have an opportunity to ride it.
I knew I wasn't going to be too heartbroken about it, but I was disappointed on it. I've been on these type of rides before, and... You had said, this is where they want to go, and I'm like, this kind of sucks. It's interactive, it's fun, but I don't like this kind of ride.
Yep.
I can look at a screen at home.
It's cheap.
It's a cheap ride.
Well,
it's a cheap ride.
There's one really great scene.
It's the kitchen scene.
When you're in the fridge.
Yep.
That's an amazing scene, and that's what they show in all the promotions is that one scene, because if they go anywhere else in the attraction, it's just a screen.
Yeah,
that's it.
And it's the direction that Universal is going, where they put you in front of a screen and they kind of shake you. That's literally
enjoy the ride.
Yes, accurate.
And Disney's kind of going that same direction. It's going to be similar with Runaway Mickey and stuff. Yeah.
Which we'll talk about that
on another episode.
Yeah, because you get to experience that.
I did.
Yeah.
So I did like the French kind of pavilion they had there for Ratatouille.
Beautiful,
They had, if you want little snacks, they had little booths food and wine where you can go to different regions of France and enjoy their kind of cuisine. And it's also this is kind of nice. And
did you eat at this park?
Yes, I did. I ate the little
snacks.
Little snacks like sauerkraut and sausages, and we got pretzels and stuff like that there. This was obviously the region closer to Germany. So, yeah, we snacked a little bit, but we were out of the park by 11.
Yeah.
Because
11:30.
we didn't get to do the one roller coaster.
The Crush roller coaster.
I wanted
it was down.
It's really good. I enjoy that roller coaster, yeah.
So describe it, because you got to ride it, we didn't.
So my memory of my trip to Disneyland Paris is not very strong, and part of that was because I was in a lot of pain with my foot.
So you were taking painkillers. More opiates, please.
But what I remember was it was really fun. It's kind of it's a spinning coaster.
Yes.
I already hate it already.
Yeah.
Have your Dramamine beforehand.
So it was my type of ride. You spin, you go on a coaster. I mean, they have they have these type of coasters, on most general amusement
but
parks.
The theming of it, does it flow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does it incorporate, instead of just we're in goofy school training and you're just
Yeah.
getting jerked around, and my chiropractor loves this ride because I come back wanting more.
The theming's great. Honestly, I wish they would bring it to the States.
Where would you put it in the States?
Honestly, I think you could just replace at Disney World the Finding Nemo attraction.
But what
With
about
it.
the manatees? The manatees need a hole.
Or Little Mermaid.
Yes, give her a Little Mermaid. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we already established that. So, yeah, we didn't get to do that. We did the car. It was almost like the Mater spinning ride, but it's a little bit more tamer. They have little cars that spin around. So our daughter got to do that, and she loved rides.
She did. She loved
She hates lines. She loves rides and hates getting off of them.
Yes.
So it's a sandwich of hates with joy in the middle. It's like an Oreo. And she loves to just like, don't need that, give me the frosting. So,
And of course, you guys, you were not there for Avengers Campus. That was still, that was getting close to opening. I think it opened like a month after you guys had gone.
Okay.
more for like the 30th celebration that they were doing.
Is the Frozen Land in the other in the main?
It's
Disney?
going to be in the studios
in
part.
the
It is.
studios.
Yeah, you see
Okay.
signs and boards,
for it,
and you're like, oh, that'd be great.
Like if you look at that, because we got a map in front of us, you see like there's this big chunk of green in the middle. Yeah, that's where all of the expansion's gonna go. They're building a mini Star Wars land. They got
That's so
Frozen
cool.
land.
Which I still haven't gone. I was like, well, another opportunity missed for that. But honestly, I only had one day.
Yeah.
And knowing that this was a land or a quarter of a park, yeah, I knew most of my time was going to be spent in the Disneyland Prime. Yeah, we didn't spend too much time. It was nice. It was a nice get ourselves warmed up, but we didn't spend a lot of time. And by 11 o'clock, we were on the move.
Yeah.
So you jumped over to the Disneyland,
which is
park.
really convenient because it's literally right next door, kind of
Yes.
like a California Adventure situation.
Yep.
Where it's just right across an Esplanade and you're right in.
Which I loved the entrance
Yes.
because the entrance is basically their main
Disneyland
deluxe
hotel.
hotel, which is beautiful,
It is.
Yes.
and the gardens in front of it is just so pretty. I don't know what
Picture of I was just gonna say that it was gorgeous.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
There were things under construction, so you're like,
Oh.
At
is this a
certain
facade?
time.
Are people
Nah.
actually staying here? You're seeing parts of the roof
Yeah.
missing, and I know you're refurbishing it, but it's like, at least put
Yeah.
a scaffold thing in there. Lie to me, please. You know,
I know.
Print off what it would look like, and I can fill in the blanks with my brain. Don't show me an open roof and rooms with construction
And I would say it's a very unique layout situation where you've got the partner statue not actually in a theme park.
That's
it's
true.
actually outside of
Yes.
the park. So you don't need a park ticket to take a picture with Walt and Mickey.
No, because you can
No.
take the train down there, and you don't need to. Usually, if you go to Paris, you get a travel pass for certain zones that you can go to, and they have their own kind of downtown Disney there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they also
fun.
have that on the other side of the train that you can. So if you don't want to go into a park, which I don't understand why you would go all the way out there and not go to a park,
Yeah.
but if you want to spend an afternoon or in their entertainment district and not have to deal with Paris Entertainment District, then you can do
Go
that.
for it. Yeah.
So yeah, we go through. At this point, it was really hot. We were right before the first heat wave they had, where they hit 100 degrees after we left Paris, but it was 80 degrees, and you're thinking 80, that should be nice. There's no wind, there's no circulation, and there's humidity, and you're just sitting there, just getting baked. I mean, you saw a lady. How would you describe her?
She was a lobster. I mean,
She was completely
everybody
red.
was totally by the end of the day. Yeah.
Not me. I wore a hat.
Yeah, we had sunscreen. We did that. So.
I'm aware of what the sun can do to a person in a theme park. And I was like, not me.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Yeah.
I'm not buying one of those ridiculous hats to cover my head after the first day.
I know.
So Main Street, it's a little different.
A little different. It still has. You go down the main street, and you got similar looking stores to what is it?
Marceline.
Marceline. That's it. But they do have corridors on the back side.
The arcade.
Oh,
Yeah.
so awesome.
That's what I've been constantly told, is that the arcade is so beautiful. like the amount of effort that they went through in designing the window dressings and things like that is just spectacular theming.
So Peter said arcade. There's no video games.
No video games. In this
There's
arcade.
just like it's an enclosed like hallway, walkway to get people in and out of the park quickly, and to get them in and out of the stores efficiently without jamming people into Main Street.
I think it's also like a covering for like weather too.
Because it rains a lot in
Man,
France.
it would have been nice if it rained.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was so hot. So yeah, we went there, and what did we do? Did we go?
We went to
left.
Frontierland, right? Didn't we go
Yeah,
there first?
we went to Frontierland.
And we did Indiana Jones.
We did Indiana Jones first because I was like,
Really?
What?
You went to Indiana Jones?
I was all like, this
Yeah.
is a new ride. I was like, well, let's do things we haven't done before.
Yeah.
Let's do Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But I had no idea, like, I didn't know it was going to be, like, a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Because we did
rider,
rider, we did the, like, single rider.
Uh-huh.
And, like, when you do single rider for that one, you're, like, 5-minute walk and you're on the ride. You see no theming. You have no clue what this ride is. You then, like, once you get on, you're like, oh, there's a loop on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I wrote it, I was like, oh, there's a loop. I didn't even realize.
And then you realize it's not a fun loop.
No.
It's very jerky. Yeah, because I didn't, like, sit back at first, and so I was, like, trying to put my head back. And
Oh, you had your head down.
I did, and I was like,
did
crap!
the one roller coaster mistake. Put your head down on a roller coaster.
I
Oh, my neck!
But, like, even when you do put your head back, you're
It's
like,
still clanking.
that's what
it's
draws your head to
sad.
move away from it, because it jerks you around where you're like, I'm not comfortable banging my head around. Let me move it a little bit forward, and then you're doing the loop, and you're like, oh, this is no fun!
Yeah.
So we did that, and we're like, well, that was interesting. It was one of those, like, I don't like it, and as we talked to them, like, about, you know, the Indiana Jones kind of experience.
You can't replace that. Yeah, just
It's-
the original.
There's right, but with, like,
Yeah.
I didn't talk about at the previous like podcast. It was
The last episode.
last episode.
Yeah,
we
yes,
talk about the
okay.
Indiana Jones where they incorporate something like this and the Indiana Jones in like a
Okay.
cavern, incorporated land, and so. Yeah, it's certainly not what the original concept was.
No.
And so, knowing what they were going to do, it's a shy attempt of a sad attempt to do it. So we did that. After that, we went to. Did we go to Pirates?
We did.
We went to Pirates. I like the queue.
I did. I thought it was really nice.
Pirates was closed when I went.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
we went to the queue. I think it was getting refurbished
Yeah.
when you guys went. Went through the queue, and it was fairly smooth. It was
was.
comfortable. What's fun about going to Paris Disney is looking at the different Europeans, because there was like Norwegians. You could
they
tell like
were
they're like, oh, you look
kinda-
like Vikings.
Yeah.
It's just your face says
Yeah.
Viking on it. It's not that they're like big or scary, but just
No,
like
yeah.
just you could tell they're Scandinavian. But I was like, that was kind of cool. Not looking at Californians.
Yeah.
And hear them complain about.
Yeah.
That was fun. And when you're in a foreign country and they start speaking their own languages, you're like, oh, good. I don't have to hear their complaints. We experienced that once. We went to Germany and we were like, or different parts of Europe, and we didn't really hear too many English speakers. And then we took a tour bus for English speakers to go to the Neuschwanstein Castle, the Disneyland Castle that they call it. And we were around a bunch of people that spoke English, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I don't like hearing people complain about their trips or every little thing. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, I like being away from non-English speaking people and experiencing my vacation.
Yeah.
But back to the ride. It was nice. It was
What was
different.
different?
I can't even remember. It was.
Isn't it like backwards?
I don't think it starts off with a burning part.
No, it doesn't.
I can't even remember what it was. I just remember writing it and going, "This is different." But I also focused on my child.
Yeah.
Of
Goes in
like,
the
I have no idea. It's
water,
like,
yeah.
this is gonna like we're dipping. How is she gonna react? Because she obviously didn't go on Indiana Jones. She's too
Yeah.
small. But she was.
She liked it.
She did like it.
Yeah, she was just looking around
And doing the yo-ho,
Taking
trying to
it,
like. I think
yeah.
we're more focused on singing and like, let's keep her happy.
Yeah.
Because When she says no, it's like this fight. You're on a boat, and we don't need her climbing out. You know, trying to grab some tomatoes. So I was more focused on her. I just noticed, like, yeah, this is a little different. I didn't feel it was bad.
No.
But I wasn't like over the top going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is way better. No, I didn't have
Yeah.
that feeling. I was like, oh, this is a good pirate ride. Because when we did Indiana Jones, we went to the caverns that were in Discovery Island, right? The little like pirate island they have there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which I like that part, like just the park area that kind of.
yeah, they have like this island there. It's kind of like their Tom Sawyer Island, and they have like these caves you can go through like you would, and it's it weaves in and out.
Really fun.
And my daughter had fun just walking around.
And that's what I was like really hoping that you guys would take advantage of all, because like that's one thing Disneyland Paris does really well is that they've got a lot of like you can do a lot of exploring. Like they don't. It's not like attraction heavy, but it's like explore heavy.
Yeah.
And like you can get lost, and you just find crazy things as you're lost, and you're like, whoa, where did this thing come from? And you'll like try to retrace your steps. You're like, I don't know how I got here. You know?
It does. It's easy for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like going into like the Skull Island and like that was really cool, and like going on the pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's a ship. It's so fun to go on like an old ship, and it does bring that kid fantasy aspect of exploration because you don't really get to do it too much without the fear of like some animal attacking you or getting lost and dying of thirst. Now it's just the fear of like getting thirsty and paying $6 for a bottle of water.
Yes,
I know.
Yeah.
What did we do after that? Did we go to Tomorrowland?
I'm trying to remember.
I think we went to Fantasyland, but we went to the castle. Or we got lunch.
Oh yes, we went.
We went to the Pinocchio house.
Yeah,
and it was not great food.
Was it just like typical American food?
It's like Europeans attempting to do Americanized food, and it was different.
I figured you'd try to go to Toad Hall.
No, it was tough because we had somebody with us who's very particular about their food.
Oh, okay.
And so we were just like, where can we go? And I was just like, I'm just going to say we're going to go here.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find something. And we went there, and it was like,
Right.
Yeah.
unmemorable. Like, I got like a sausage thing, and we got like, there was like a Reuben sandwich that wasn't very good.
No, but we liked the Fanta or Fanta drinks.
Yes,
there.
we
Really,
love
really
the orange Fanta drinks.
Mhm.
It's not the same as our Fanta. You come back to
yeah.
America, and you're like, that's not the same. It tastes like it's like a sparkling orange juice.
It is. It's so
And I miss
good.
it.
Yeah.
You miss that?
Oh yeah, I
Being
miss
away from America.
Well, because it's all cane sugar outside the U.S.
Mhm.
It's not artificial sweeteners and things like that. It's cane sugar, and so it's like all of those sodas outside the U.S. are just so good. Like Coke tastes 1,000.
No
times
syrup
better.
to it.
Oh.
Like,
Right, like it's
So
just
good.
there's unique flavor to soda that is not in the United States.
and when you're out there, it's so hot, and you're like, drink water, but you're like, I need something that quenches my thirst, and like, it does. It quenches it. So yeah, after that we went to the castle because there's a walkthrough.
Yeah.
That's like, I think the biggest draw to this park
is.
is this walkthrough.
Just being able to go up and see.
They
the
do a stained glass story, and it's not like
yeah.
small stained glass. They're big
It's
scenes.
It's huge, like big stained glass, tells a huge story of Sleeping Beauty.
Mhm.
And you could tell like it was professionally done by like someone like that does it in like big churches, right?
So they actually hired people that actually do stained glass for churches in Europe to do the stained glasses for this castle. So like they specifically hired professionals that do this in churches and things
I
like
imagine
that.
you're trying to figure it out.
Right.
I think when we went, Father Yoder, like this was like on his list, what he wanted to see. We probably spent like an hour there.
Easily.
Wow.
You
It's a
could
long time.
easily, yeah.
Yeah, you could
We
spend
were
some
there for,
time.
like, 30
We took
yeah.
quite a bit of time taking pictures in that area, and then after
You saw the dragon, right?
no, I didn't see the.
You
dragon.
didn't go to the
So
dragon?
yeah, so there's a dragon under the castle,
Oh,
or
no,
kind
I
of
didn't.
like tucked away under the castle.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
no, I
A
missed
dragon
it.
sleeping, and then he'll wake up a little bit. And
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, I didn't go there.
Oh.
No, missed out.
See, for me, when I go, like, that's like where I want to go first.
Peter's gonna have a list
Yeah,
of
he's
like,
like,
gotta see this, because it's different. And I knew going the way I was doing, I was going to miss that. You know.
same for me. Like, I did not prep for it before, and I wish I did.
Because there's so many other things you're prepping for a European trip.
Yeah.
And you're like, Disneyland, oh, it'd be like similar.
yeah.
I'll just go.
And now Peter's saying, he's like, nope, should have did your homework. Should have listened to me.
Yep.
And you know what? Yeah, I had that regret, you know. And as you said, like, yeah, the dragon, I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember seeing pictures of a dragon, but I didn't know where it was. So, no. No, we didn't have that. So your sister breaks off from us. She wanted to do shopping.
Yes.
And we went to Tomorrowland to do Space Mountain.
Which Space Mountain
It's
is
awesome.
so fun.
Oh my
That was the one
gosh.
attraction we did like
Yes.
2 or 3 times.
And it's worth it.
It's
is.
Star Wars themed.
It was hyperspace.
Oh, when you went, yes.
Oh my gosh,
It's
amazing.
Isn't it great
Yeah.
riding
Oh.
a roller coaster with John Williams music playing?
For sure.
It's like it. Oh, it's
And
the
you're
best.
doing turns and there's
Yeah.
loops.
It's an intense
It's-
roller coaster.
It's intense and it
They-
spins and banks.
Yes.
It was the first Disney roller coaster that went upside down.
Interesting.
Wow.
Before, yeah, that makes sense. It's the 90s.
It was.
I
yeah.
think right when you go, you like,
launch.
Yeah.
You launch,
Mhm.
and I think you go straight into a loop.
Yeah, and they show like TIE fighters coming in. You
Yeah.
feel like you're an X-Wing and
Yeah.
you're flying through space. And I was like, oh, hyperspace is way better here than, you know, obviously Disney World. Disney World, I'm like, I have a hard time saying Space Mountain. I'm just like, that other mountain. The mountain that calls itself Space Mountain. But I enjoyed it. I made a mistake. I went in this one, the single rider wasn't faster. The regular line moved quicker, and I got caught in it a little longer.
Yeah, we did the same thing. Yeah.
So it took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been fun to ride it with you,
I know.
but we were doing the
That's-
swap.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
young
the
parent.
what it
issue
is,
with young children is parents never get to ride together.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to accomplish as much as quickly.
Yeah, it takes longer.
Yeah, definitely Space Mountain at Disneyland Paris was the most memorable attraction for me when I went like 3 years ago.
Oh, it's fun. I kind of wish I went through the queue. What's the queue like?
The queue
It's
is
not interesting.
not
Okay, I didn't
It's,
miss
great.
anything.
it's just switchbacks
so that's
and chains.
like the biggest
oh,
thing
dystopia.
Yeah.
that Father Yoder hates about this attraction is the queue, because it kind of feels like you're in a parking lot almost with like chain link fence guiding you. Like, it's not good at all, which it just doesn't fit with the overall theme of the attraction.
It has that steampunk style, and
That was
it's
the
really pretty to look at outside.
That's what they were kind of going for when they opened Discoveryland, because that was kind of the new popular thing at the time, was a steampunkish look.
Because like Wild Wild West with Will
Yeah.
Smith came out,
Oh,
they're
yes.
like, "Oh, this is gonna be big."
Yeah. And so you didn't even get to see the Nautilus. You didn't walk through the Nautilus.
No.
I was hoping that you might do that while you were waiting for your other party to do.
No,
hyperspace.
it was hot.
Gotcha.
It was like that death hour, like that 1 to 2 o'clock, and so we went to the pavilion next door because it's inside.
right.
Yeah.
And think about Europe, they don't do AC, so it felt like a building with no AC, with all these people in there that you can smoke in there. But they had little Mickey shorts, so it allowed my daughter to
It's cute.
watch, and I can actually have her move around without like securing her to a stroller. Yeah, and so it was nice to have that place to switch off. At that point, you were seeing a lot of Europeans or people just like laying in the grass, just trying to like
Cool.
cool
Yeah.
off and relax, because people want to stay to the end. because we'll get into that later. At that point, we went to get ice cream. Little Hera, she got a little baby Yoda ice cream.
Aww,
And she was eating it. So we got some cute pictures with that. So that was a fun little memory to see her bite into it. And we didn't do Mickey bar. They didn't have Mickey bars at that station.
No, the carts and food at Disneyland Paris is much different. Like, I remember when I went, I would just
They'll
get
sell you fish. Fresh fish, we catch them, you buy them.
Valentino Bruno.
Yeah.
I remember we'd get a Nutella crepe there, and
You eat a lot of crepes when you're in Paris.
Yeah.
So like, oh cool, I want crepes. Savory one, please.
and it comes in a walkable holder.
It's like a cone shape and there as you go.
You just eat it as you go. Yep.
That's what you do. So we ended up going the backside, and we knew the day was coming closer to an end. So we went. We wanted to make sure we hit Fantasyland.
Yeah.
We did.
Small World was closed.
Small World was closed, and so we.
It's okay.
Did,
it's the exact same.
Yeah.
we did. Did we do teacups first,
No,
or we went to
we
Alice?
went to Alice, which I love that.
The
was
walkthrough.
a cute
The
little...
maze. Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
I was
so
apprehensive
cute.
about it, but it was cute to see the
It
kiddo
was.
walk through there and feel free to climb and
Be a kid.
be a kid.
It's basically like a maze playground for little kids, but it's really fun. You go through and then you get to what's the end is
It's a castle.
Yeah.
And you go up and you get a view and you can take pictures of the park at a different angle. It takes a while to go through.
It does.
It's like waiting in any other kind of fantasy line. It's not like, oh, just jump in and jump out. Once you're in, you're kind of in.
Yeah.
So after that, we did the teacups, and that was fun to see her and see her daughter. At this point, we were doing watch our kid experience Disney. This is fun.
Yeah.
And so we did teacups, and
it was pretty smooth.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was like we got done. I was like, wow, that's the smoothest teacup ride experience. Not Disney World where it's like, and you're like, oh, are we falling down? What's going on here? Like these screeching noises, and you're just like, I hate Disney World's teacups, and Disneyland's not as abrupt, but this one was like, wow, that was a pleasurable experience with riding the teacups. We didn't do the carousel. We didn't do Dumbo because we had done Magic Carpets. Very similar. We were on a time, but I knew it was we gotta get Peter Pan in first time.
Yes.
That one's a magical first time kid experience.
Is Peter Pan different?
No, it's the exact same.
Same.
Yeah.
Exact same. Nothing special.
They speak French.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
speak-
They do, yeah.
They speak French. There's your
They do.
difference. They speak French.
I'm sorry, I was so bilingual at that point. I knew exactly what they were saying.
It's the same thing with the Pinocchio.
Lots of numbers. That's all I knew.
It's the same thing with the Pinocchio ride. They speak French. That's about it.
So we did that. The day was starting to wrap up. Park was closing soon.
What were your thoughts on the castle?
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Picturesque.
It's my favorite castle.
Yeah.
I
would
of
agree,
all the
Jackie.
Disney parks.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's just...
It's
I just
gorgeous.
love because it's you've got a hill going up in the castle, and I don't know, it just seems more realistic to me.
Yeah.
And I love the backstory behind them, why they designed that one so different. Because it's like, well, we're in Europe, the place where there's castles everywhere, so putting up a Disney castle isn't going to seem that magical to people that see castles all over the place.
Right.
So we need to make it more...
It was more
fantasy.
more
Yeah,
fanciful
it
in
was.
how it was rendered, because you don't see that type of castle.
Right.
So yeah, it had that magical look, and they had for the 50th, they had different statues that were
And
metal,
The
cutouts
30th.
for the 30th. Yes, for the 30th celebration, all throughout or around the castle. So those were kind of fun. They're like wind kind of chime or ornaments in a garden. So those were pretty cool to see. I mean, they had one of Miko, not a generally popular character.
Right.
It's just one that's been forgotten in the last 30 years. We forgot to mention, we did do Phantom Manor. We took our daughter on
I
it.
was about to say,
Yes,
I was
we
like, I have not
did,
heard Phantom Manor.
Yeah, we did that before we went to
went-
Fantasyland.
Yes, that's right. we
And the
did.
line there was no line. We practically walked on.
But we have to preface that our daughter loves Halloween.
Yeah, she
and
likes like
so-
simple song Halloween, like
Yes.
trick or treat, like
Yeah.
fun songs like that. And we're like, oh, we're gonna do a Halloween rap. Halloween.
Yeah.
She loves Halloween. Like I've seen Hocus Pocus 3 times today, and we
Nightmare
watch
Before Christmas.
Halloween, Nightmare Before Christmas
20 times.
2 times a day at least. It seems like. So my daughter loves Halloween, and so we got her on this ride. And I didn't know much about Phantom Manor. All I've heard is like, oh, it's the best one. It's so good.
I didn't know why it was.
I didn't know why. And so we go on. I was like, oh, it's very similar. And I'm like talking her through, and she's like, ooh, and she's fine. She's not crying or anything like that. You rode with her, right?
Yes.
And I rode.
Yes.
I was in a different dune buggy. So you get on the ride. Very similar experience. They do have different paintings in the stretch room, so that was kind of cool to see that experience go through. Yeah, very similar to getting on the dune buggies. So it was kind of fun to like, got my daughter. Gotta make sure you guys get in on time and get myself situated. You had to pull it yourself. That was one thing.
Yeah.
So
it's
you pulled out on the
I
last.
remember like I didn't do it. The lady was like, she said something snarky in French, and I was just like, I obviously know what she said. I pulled it down. So we go on it, very similar first half of it, and then you get to once you leave the ballroom, it changes. And so you don't have... Yeah, Madame Leota's room's different.
Yes, and that's when Hera was like, I don't know about...
Some floating things in a head talking to you. This isn't no simple song video here.
This is scary Halloween.
Yeah. And so we start going down into the catacombs. And that's when I was like, being ahead of her going, ooh, I don't think... I wonder how it's going on back there, and that experience.
Yeah. She just had, like, her hands in front of her face, like, the whole time was trying. She's like, no, we're not. Like, we're not.
Yeah, when she doesn't want some, she, like, tenses up.
She's
and
like, we're
she's
not.
strong for a little kid. And so I was like, well, I wonder how that's going. Because you see bones, like, you see, like, skeletons playing, like, xylophones. And it gets dark real quick. And you're like, oh, this is the fun part of the ride, like it is at Disneyland. And so it was different. I wouldn't say it was better. I like my traditional.
I like the Christmas overlay.
Oh, you like Christmas overlay, Haunted Mansion.
So not your favorite Haunted Mansion.
I won't say it's beautiful outside, and they different parts that are really cool. The stretch room's nice, but Haunted Mansion Disney World is home for me, and it's hard to change that.
And honestly, what makes the Phantom Manor so cool is its backstory, because its story intercombines with, I think it's the Golden Nugget, their Golden Horseshoe restaurant, and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and it's this big interconnected story, which we might talk about, do an episode talking about interesting storylines and lands, and
they do give you a better backstory. Where Haunted Mansion, they're still trying to like figure that out. Like
they don't know what they're
doing.
They
can't do a movie for. They're like, we're coming out with a Haunted Mansion movie, and then it's forgotten. Like 10 years later, like, weren't you guys going on? Like, oh, we're working on it. I mean, like they still cannot come up with a backstory.
We're working on finding producers for it right now
because they believe it's a career killer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that. So we did that.
Do Thunder Mountain.
We did Thunder Mountain. That was our last ride for the day.
Well, yes.
Yeah, let's just go.
Yeah.
It was our last ride. We made it there like 25 minutes before because it was broken down earlier, and we're like, oh, I heard it was good, but we're like, let's just go back there, and I made it through. And so I made it back, and you had 5 minutes to ride.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it.
And you were kind of getting salty about it. And I was like,
I know. I was like,
feel bad. But I've got a Disney podcast. I have to do this. I'm sorry.
Know.
I just have to. I cannot ride it.
As she slowly grips his shoulder, like, I'm going to beat your face in.
I hear her, like, I remember you just going, you should go. You have to talk about it. But you could
like,
hear the like
disappointment.
Yeah.
such disappointment that I have to give my husband something that I want.
I know. Well, because my sister was supposed to be there to help, but she was like so.
She got trapped in the parade area because the big show at the end
and so
blocks everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on it,
Yeah.
and this is the best ride at the park.
It is.
Best ride if you have no clue going
It's
into
the
it.
best Thunder Mountain.
It's just amazing. You get in and you're like, okay, it's typical queue, and you see the like train on an island by itself, but you never think like, how do you get there?
Yeah.
And that's the magic part of it, is that you get in the train
Yeah.
and you go under the water,
Yeah.
and they launch you like
It's really
the
quick.
Incredicoaster.
Yeah,
It's just like, and I had some French guys in front of me, and so it's funny to hear different languages go like, woo! They're like, wee! Like they're saying, yes! Wee! So they're like, wee! And like, you don't say wee like W-E, you do, but it's the top of the mouth, like, woo! And so it's like the top of their mouth, and so it's just like this. The ride was amazing, and then there was a moment going, this is culturally so fun to do. These guys are having fun, and in my mind, I'm like, they sound silly to me, but it was so awesome. So we're going through it, and it's fast. It doesn't slow down.
No.
You're whipping through it, and you're like, this can't get any better. And then you're like, but wait, we have to go back. And you're like, so they launch you back to the landing area, and you're like, this. You walk off, you're like, that was amazing, best ride. I'm glad I ended with it. So great. I would ride it 3 or 4 more times easily. And but I know I was like, I gotta run because I know they let Disney Parks as if park is open, the rides are open.
Right.
So I ran out there. There was like 5 minutes left. So I sat with my daughter outside the ride, and I watched Tess go in, and I looked at my watch, and sure enough, it was like 11. It was like 8:59, 50 seconds left, and I saw family walk in, and then I saw Service Return 59, and then boom, it was 9 o'clock. Family ran up. They're like, "Is it open?" They're like, "Nope," and they shut it down. Like they didn't let them on, and it's like Disney's like, park closed, it's closed, and like. So you meet with French people and their unions, like, you're done working.
Yeah.
There's no they were just like, nope, bye. The guy left, and like they weren't gonna let anybody on, and so it was good to see, like, as an employee, what you do is implemented at the parks as well, where they don't like, oh, we're closed with a minute left. No, park's open still.
Yep.
Ride's open. So you got to go on it, and you were on in 5 minutes.
Because I didn't know, so I was like panicking. So they're gonna close the gate because I was like right there.
No,
and you're
like,
no,
fine.
just go. And so I went there, and it was kind of, I looked probably like an idiot because like other people ahead of me are like hopping over like the bars, and I'm trying to do it. I'm like falling, and I'm trying to get there.
Oh yeah, it's good to know the numbers when they tell you what vehicle you're in. That helps too, because you're like gonna be like, I remember they say like, I think they said 13. I'm just gonna stand here, and you just look stupid. You're just like, is this where I go?
You put on your tourist
Yeah, you look so stupid. And I'm like,
and you look at the counter like, here.
Is this my number? What am I gonna say out loud? But it's gonna be on my face, like, and I get it now. It's like, oh, when I worked at Disney World, that stupid face, and you totally wear it there, like, yeah. I feel like Jim Gaffigan, like, yeah, right here. Okay, I'll wait here. Oh, we're getting on the ride. Let's do this.
Yeah, you definitely got the wide eye look.
You feel and you know you look incredibly stupid, but you don't care. You're getting on a ride. It's amazing. So the ride, getting to the ride.
No, it was a great one to end on, and I had kind of like a little special moment because they were doing the illumination show, and they had like where they put the 30 where it lights up. And
they had the drones.
Yes.
They used drones.
Okay, because I didn't know how they created that, and as soon as we like ended, I was like, it was like 30. I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. So
that is cool.
Yeah.
Our daughter was playing in the dirt.
She was. I believe it, yeah.
Like
she likes laying on the ground and then like taking the dirt and putting on her legs and just putting piles.
Yes.
And it was just like, Whatever, kid.
So,
You're not
like,
screaming.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you learn to let some things go.
Be dirty, whatever,
what?
kid.
You're happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
You're gonna hate the shower afterwards, but whatever. And then after that, we went to the show, and that was we didn't get a good spot
No.
because we rode Thunder Mountain, and it was. I mean, the music sequence and what we could see, it looked great. And then I think I've seen it.
So
on
was the
Disney
show
Plus.
just like projection, drone?
And fireworks
It had
and
everything.
music.
Yeah.
The whole works.
My daughter was having fun
She
just seeing what
loved
she could
it,
see.
yeah.
She loves music,
Yeah.
and she could identify some of the
Yeah, she was like,
songs.
Frozen, I'm Elsa.
And they're doing it in French, and so there's a beauty to it, and you can watch it on Disney Plus.
Yes,
The show that they
Yeah.
have, it's a great show.
It is.
Not as good as Wishes. Wishes will always be the best.
Yeah. Maybe they'll bring it back
Maybe. We'll wish for it.
for the
They'll bring Happily Ever Ever back. There's more demand for that right now.
Oh, okay. So we did the
The
show.
one that replaced Wishes.
So we did the show. It was great, and then it was
Yeah.
time to leave, and that's where those arcades are great. Walking
Yeah.
down those
Yeah.
hallways, it flowed, and then at the end of the day, we saw Mickey at the train station, and he was waving, and our little girl was like,
Yeah.
we're saying like it's time to go, and she's like, bye Disney,
bye,
bye
Disney."
Disney,
Yeah.
bye Disney, and
Aw,
she saw Mickey, it's like
cute.
bye Mickey, and she had that
So
magical moment leaving, and then she just. Every time we were walking by, it's just like, bye, Disney. Like, it was
Yeah.
like, I want to go to Disneyland. I was like, oh, I'm having this moment right
Yeah.
here. I'm loving it. It's beautiful. It was great. It was the pinnacle of her experience at Disneyland. And it's one of those things like, I really hope you'll remember this trip.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing. I really, really hope, like, if there's a fragment memory
Just a
of your
little
twos,
memory.
just one thing of, like, that comes through. So that was kind of my wish. And it was, like, do you have anything to add from, like, the fireworks or...
No,
Just
I
your
think
overall
you-
experience.
No, I mean, I think we kind of the way you explained the hair, I just felt that too, and so
good.
it just made me want to like.
I had to carry her.
No, yeah,
And the stroller and the other thing. I'm like, I feel like Dad.
Yeah.
I'm Dad here in this moment. It's like, and yeah,
It was just so nice to like be in a place where we could just like
you felt safe.
you feel safe. You can have your kid run around.
You weren't worried about her cracking her head on a medieval cathedral stones thing.
Yeah.
And you never realize
Hit
you're
by
going.
a
I'm going to
taxi.
Europe, and you're like with a clumsy child.
Like, yeah, falling on
Old
the road,
things
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
I
just
So if you were to go
Yeah.
to Paris again, would you try to go to Disneyland Paris?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
We would
and
do
I would
two-
spend 2 days.
2 days.
Two good
Yeah.
days, and that's really all you need, I think.
If you want to, if you know you're only going to go once,
yeah.
I would go 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
If you had a strict schedule in Paris and you were gonna try to see everything in Paris, then yeah, maybe one day we'll get you what you want. You'll get the magic.
like
thing.
a little taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you want to make sure you get the full Disney experience, 2 days, and why not stay there overnight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just spend the extra money.
They've got several hotels
Different
Yeah.
hotels.
Yeah.
And there's other off-property hotels that are fairly cheap.
And you don't need a vehicle to get there.
Mm-mm.
The train gets you there, and there's a train that will take you back.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on the first train that everyone's trying to get back because everyone's trying to get on there and they just squish on. And I saw that, I was like, nope, I'm not spending the next 45 minutes
Stand
on a squish train.
We're gonna wait.
Yeah.
I waited for the next
Yeah.
You
one.
wait for
and
the
it
last
was,
one.
It
Yeah.
was much better. If you see it squished,
Yeah.
don't do it. It's just not going to be
Just
pleasurable.
relax, take a moment, enjoy the atmosphere before you go.
And just know that, like, if it is later, some of the train stations do close in Paris. And so you may not be able to get on the trains to get to your location. You will need to get Uber to travel around there.
Which is
And it's what we did.
what we did.
It's fun going, like, you're in a different part of Paris and you have your 2-year-old and it's midnight.
Yeah. You're like, come quickly, please.
Okay, where are you? I don't know where I'm at, but I never...
No.
There's not gangs of people.
No,
I never.
it's
You don't.
fine.
It's different from the U.S. There's not homeless people
No.
on the streets. There's. I mean, where we were staying at, it was a little rougher. Like at 9 o'clock, you started seeing the prostitutes on the
Yeah.
corner. It was more of an ethnic enclave,
Yeah.
and you started seeing the prostitutes at 9 o'clock, and the you see a little bit more schizophrenic people out there on the street. But yeah, and like city proper, you don't really see what you don't really see here in America with the homeless, like panhandling. They do a good job moving them while you're there.
Yeah.
I know
I
know that's a threat. Like there are those moments. Like our first trip there, we had that. Like you get the sense like when we were getting gas, the return thing.
Oh my god!
I had to deal with like there was a gentleman. He came up and I'd already pumped my gas and I was paying for it, and he was all like, "Oh, pump right here," and he was acting like he was an attendant. And I remember I had to be like super aggressive, like no pump. And I just remember just so like taking it out, putting it in there, getting in the car, and the other guy could tell that it was getting tense in front of me with his scooter. And he moved his vehicle out of the way so I could just jet, because you never know if you're gonna get tailed. And like, I've just learned how to drive in Paris, just getting there an hour ago, and it's a different experience driving. It's chaotic, but just to like. You know, like somebody had said, I think it was your dad saying, like, that's one way that they get you. Is like they try to scam you at gas stations to pay. And I knew it wasn't a real good area when you've got that bulletproof glass and they don't let you in without them buzzing you in. And so that was one of those like moments of just like, oh, it's a little nervous, but for the most part, you don't have to really worry about that with the train systems and people. They do a really good job with security. So I definitely recommend going to Disneyland Paris.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
For you.
Yeah, I'm excited for the upcoming like expansions with Frozen Land and Adventure Campus just opened.
Yep.
So
they're not so great reviews, but it's open.
Yeah, there's more than what there was before.
Sort of.
So do you like? I'll throw it at Peter right here. Do you see yourself, like making a trip out there to experience? Are you going to do like the rounds around the world?
We will probably, me and my wife will probably end up going to Japan before we go to Paris. If I had to guess, if we were doing international travel, we would probably go to Japan before we would go to Paris.
So when you're in Japan, you're so close to the other ones.
That would be something I would have to discuss with my wife.
I was just curious if you would do like jump to Beijing and then
it depends on, because my wife thought about we'll go there, we'll go to Japan, and then we'll go to Universal there as well, because I heard theirs is really nice as well. And so it's all like, I don't know if I could push my wife to let's go to China, if
you're just doing like. If you get a package where like they take you from the airport to go there, or you do like a tour system.
It's one of those things like situation's got to be just right for us to do something a multi-country park extravaganza. Yeah, like would I love to do that? Absolutely, I would love to go to Shanghai and Hong Kong with Tokyo.
Just buy a ticket on the private jet around the world.
Yeah, it's only $100,000
per
no
person.
Kids though.
Yeah,
no kids.
Thank goodness. Yeah, that was the first trip going with a kid, and it was different, but it was a good different.
Right. Yeah. It's like you don't necessarily get to do all the fun and exciting things that you've been accustomed to as a teenager going into adulthood, but you look at Disney through a child's eye.
I get to share the fun with them.
Right.
And that was
like as teenagers and adults, you're like, I'll skip that meet and greet, and then you're like, oh no, this meet and greet is going to be extra special because my child is in the magic right now.
It would have been really cool to do that.
I know, we wanted to do the princess meet, but it's like 90-minute wait, and I'm like, we don't have time.
You save it for a Disneyland day.
Exactly.
So when's your next Disneyland?
Yeah.
Now that this happened.
I know.
Disney cruise.
Easier for
you did a great job selling that. You're like the best.
And I was like, I want to go in like a year. And he's like, we'll see. I don't know. So
yeah, there's so many people want to do so many trips. And I'm all like, I'm coming to that dad where I'm like, no, there's no money.
Yes, traveling is expensive. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your experience with Disneyland Paris. I do recommend for those who are in the area, in Europe, and have the chance to go visit it.
It's a unique experience that's unlike any other park that Disney has.
It's a beautiful park.
Yes.
I think their tagline is the most beautiful place on earth. I think that's their tagline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, comment below. Have you been to Disneyland Paris? You can comment and contact us through our Facebook, our Instagram, our email, or Twitter. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want us, keep encouraging us. Maybe we'll make it over to Tokyo. Or Japan.
I've driven by the Tokyo. I was driving from the international, or the domestic to the international airport, and you drive through Tokyo, and I was like, it's right there. And I was with a bunch of like Marines, and I just had to be really quiet. I'm like, it's right there. I could see it. I could just jump out of the van and just go right now. And I was all like, if we don't make this flight, I'm so going. We made our flight. We ran and we made it. Bummer.
Yeah.
Should have been like, let's take our time, guys. Let's take our time.
Right, yeah, that goes over well.
I know.
Well, thank you again for listening. Have a magical day.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember...
Revenez, revenez, vous venez à peine d'arriver, et je me meurs de solitude. Hurry back, hurry back. Be sure to bring your death certificate. We're just dying to have you.